Why are they so much better than me? And I was like, oh, because they did it. I'm too afraid to do it.
I was like, you know what? I'm not having fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I need to play again. Like, I need to just go to my playful place where I get to be creative and fun.
Stop expecting the rejection. Stop expecting there to be a problem or for you not to make the cut. I went to that open mic and I was like, this is amazing. Because
Did you do well at that open mic?
I did so good.
Oh. Welcome to the Be the Train podcast, which is based on my book, Be the Train, the mindset and tools you need to make your first feature. But this podcast is not just about making features. It is about people who are in creative spaces that are making opportunities for themselves. And a lot of what we like to talk about is momentum and career, and also what to do when momentum slows down, which it does in a lot of creative careers. So just really trying to explore and embrace creativity as the world is changing. We're super, super excited today to have a really good friend of mine, an incredibly funny stand-up comedian, who's very successful, Reem Edan, and she will tell you a little bit more about herself and we'll delve into some questions. Thank you, Reem, for coming.
Of course, although I thought this was an automotive podcast, so I thought it was about, we're going to talk like trains, planes, and automobiles.
That would be really funny because I would suck at that.
Can you imagine?
I don't even know what car I have. No, I'm joking.
No, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on this podcast. So exciting.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you and what your career in stand-up, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so my career, I feel like I've had two lives
Okay.
in my career. I graduated with a marketing degree and I always knew I wanted to work in entertainment and film specifically. And so that was what I started out in. I moved to LA from Colorado in 2013, as soon as I graduated. And I started working at movie studios doing marketing and publicity, which was so fun, especially like coming from a place that wasn't really entertainment forward, and then suddenly being thrown into like red carpets and like movie premieres and like seeing celebrities. It was a blast. And so I did that for a couple years, and like I said, it kind of worked hand in hand with my degree. So I felt like I was satisfying that dream I always had of like working in entertainment and film. But deep down inside, my dream was actually to be in the films.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other book on its own, is like getting the courage to admit to yourself that you're worthy of your dreams and that you have a shot at achieving them.
So let's just pause there for 1 second. What was the moment that made you realize or made you switch gears and acknowledge, because this is actually something I do bring up in my book, is like the power of saying it out loud, that you're actually going to do it and that you're actually going to choose yourself, which is a really hard thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're told so often to not choose ourselves because that's such a hard choice.
Yeah.
So how did that happen for you, or how did that shift happen? How did you decide, like, you know what, I actually want to be in this? What does that mean? What do I do now?
I come from a first generation household. Like, I'm first generation. My parents are Iraqi immigrants. And so I was vocal about my dream growing up, right? I was like, I'm going to be an actor and I'm going to be this and that. And I think it was never maybe verbatim said that I can't do that, but it was kind of encouraged for me to do something more reasonable or within reach or respectable. I don't know why there's like kind of this undersplit, like, oh, if you're an entertainer or like an actress or whatever, you're like a charlatan. You're like, you know, it's not necessarily like the most encouraged career.
Yeah.
So I think the moment where I was kind of forced to reckon with my dreams it was at a premiere actually. And I remember I was like standing there and I was watching, I don't even know who it was, but I was watching people walk down the carpet and I just felt this like jealousy. It was part jealousy, but it was part like heartbreak.
Yeah.
Because I realized, I was like, wow, I want to be on the carpet.
Yeah.
Not just working the carpet.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking too, I was like, I'm funnier than that. Like, I'm just as funny as that person.
Yeah.
Why are they so much better than me? And I was like, oh, because they did it. I'm too afraid to do it. And so it was from that kind of like, that was my first heartbreak. That was the first time that I realized that I was 20 feet from stardom.
Yeah.
And
But by the way, I think also, because I just want to highlight this thing you said that I think is so important, they did it. Right. And so I think that what's interesting about that is like, it's not because they're better or they're more talented or because they deserve it or because they're more worthy. It's just because they did it. They made the choice.
They had the audacity. They're more audacious.
Yeah, they chose to do it. They chose to take the path.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all the other stuff, it's a little bit out of our control how it all pans out
Yeah.
in the end.
Yeah.
Right. But you choosing to show up for yourself in that way is a choice you can make.
100%. That was kind of the first time I realized I was like, oh, I'm creative adjacent.
Yeah.
I'm not being creative.
Yeah.
So it took some time from there to get to a place where I found comedy. So once I started realizing, once the facade kind of had a chip, it started to shatter. And that's when I also had kind of like a parallel path. Was my body image issues growing up. So I was like an overweight kid. And when I moved to LA, I eventually learned how to eat healthy and be this version of myself that I always dreamt of being, which was like fit LA.
Yeah.
I dyed my hair blonde at the time. And I reached that pinnacle of like cool job, look good, like feel fit, da 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 da. And that's when I realized I was like, what's next?
Yeah.
And I had this like, I almost want to say like dark night of the soul moment where I was like, wait, my life is empty. I don't know what I'm working towards.
Yeah.
And the most like metaphorical thing happened. Like this was the day it all changed. And I can pinpoint the day. The day it all changed, it was a Saturday. And I'd already had like kind of like the little chips, here and there of like, oh, I want to be like, creative. I want to do that. I want to do that. It was a Saturday morning and I was driving. I got in the car and, I live with my sister, but at the time she was off doing something. And so I was like, okay, I'll just go on a drive and I'll figure something out to do. And I remember just kind of like driving in circles around LA. I was like, do I go to a coffee shop? Do I go eat something? Do I call a friend? Do I really have friends? Are those my party friends? And I was just like literally driving in circles. And I feel like it speaks so much to like having no direction.
Yeah.
And I felt
interesting.
I really felt, I was like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go. I started crying. I was like having a meltdown.
While you were driving in circles. That's a movie moment.
Yeah. Right? Life imitates art.
Yeah.
Art imitates life. And I remember calling my sister and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what the point of my life is. And she was like, relax.
Yeah.
You're being weird.
She's like, you're 19. No, I'm joking. How old were you at the time?
She's like, get married, have kids.
Yeah.
And she's like, pull over. Like, you're going to crash the car. Pull over. And she's like, just like, I had ClassPass at the time. She's like, go on ClassPass. Find a yoga class or something.
I love ClassPass.
Yeah. Shout out ClassPass. Use code Reem for, no, I was kidding. She's like, find like a yoga class or something and try to deal with it. And so I found a meditation class, went to the meditation studio. And for those 45 minutes, I finally felt the chatter like stop. And I felt like calm for a minute. And then as soon as I left, it came right back. And so it was by going to meditation classes and mindfulness classes and consciousness and spirituality that I started doing a lot of like the inner work and trying to figure out, okay, I obviously feel very empty, very unhappy, very directionless. What do I need to do to change that? And that's when I eventually had my epiphany one day during a meditation where I was like, okay, I don't know if this is necessarily what I want to do for work, but I don't feel joy right now. So what gives me joy on an elementary level? What brings me happiness? And I was like, well, I love making people laugh. So maybe, I was like, so maybe I'll just, I don't know, go to an open mic and see how that goes. Just not for work. Just, I love to make people laugh. Let me see if I can go do that.
Yeah.
And that's how my stand-up
That's
career
crazy.
started.
So it's funny because I had a moment, different but similar, where I had graduated from AFI and I was trying to make a movie and I was having a very hard time making a movie. And they make it sound like it's really easy. You graduate from AFI, they're like, you just go out there and get $1 million, make your movie.
Make the movie.
Make the movie. Now you know how.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but I was also at this point where like I had been working really hard and I was very career oriented and I had this vision of myself that was like, I was supposed to be like a Sundance winner, producer, like winner of awards, of like all these things in my head that kind of like framed who I am and what it means and my worth. I had done a lot of things at that point, but I hadn't done the things that in my head meant I had reached like a certain level of success. And I was like very stuck in that story. And I was feeling really mad all the time, like at myself, like just very like disappointed and sad. And I was just like working like a dog. I wasn't really present in what I was doing. It was like work, work, work. I remember like every single text that came through, I had to answer immediately. Every single email that came through, I had to answer immediately because I had this like people pleasing thing where it's like, if I don't answer within 30 seconds, then I'm going to get fired. I'm never going to get hired again. And I've got to be the best, but I was driving myself fucking insane.
Yeah.
And I was probably having a mental breakdown. But what was interesting was that I had this moment where I was like, you know what? I'm not having fun anymore. I need to play again. Like I need to just go to my playful place where I get to be creative and fun.
Which is the whole point.
Which is the whole point. That's why I started doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
But you forget that part.
Yeah.
Because you get so stuck in the results that you stop being present in the doing.
Tale as old as time.
And I did a stand-up class, and then I did an improv class, and I did an acting class for fun. And I literally was like, none of this is about my career.
Yeah.
This is just about me remembering why I'm even doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
And all of that led to where I am today in so many different ways.
Aw.
It's insane. But like, there's like a whole second part to my life
Mm-hmm.
that started with me having this epiphany that I needed to have fun again.
I feel like I relate to that so hard because we have these goalposts, or I would like markers of success, right? And it's not just in our career. It's like, okay, do I have the house? Do I have the kids? Am I reaching these like, measurable moments? And sometimes like you need that, right? Because it helps give you a general roadmap of where to go. But sometimes like we set these markers, we attach our identity to them.
Yeah.
And we do it from a place that's much less evolved than where we are right now. So like right now, I know it's not necessarily this credit. Right now, I know that like I'm on a path and it's a successful path. But Reem 5 years ago would have been like, if I don't have this credit, I didn't make it.
Yeah.
So it's learning to adjust the goalposts and like be happy with where you're at and not necessarily tie so much of who you are into what you think you need to be to be able to like create and be present and then experience this for what it is, which is like your career. It's your life. It's not just who you are, who you're mingling with. Like this is your everyday. This is an extension of your soul.
And someone said not too long ago, your career is your entire life. Like it's not, I think sometimes we have these like really short goalposts where we're like, if this doesn't happen in 6 months, but it's like this career isn't a 6-month career.
No.
This is like an entire life
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's something that you have to wake up and do every day and stay motivated every day. Figure out how to find those moments to keep you going when things get hard every day.
It's so tough. I wish, we need to talk about that more. This industry is, you're right. It's about being audacious. It's about giving yourself the tools. It's about like being in the places and network, all these things. But a lot of it is kind of just up in the air.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have that creative spark protected and like remember it and have your true north, then it's very easy to get jaded.
Yeah.
It's very easy to quit. And then it's very easy to, like you said, like forget why we're doing this in the first place. And it makes it hard to wake up in the morning. And like, I generally am very happy. I'm generally like, we're both, this is one of the reasons I love you is I feel like we both are just very positive. We're just optimists. We tend to create things. We work hard, but we just like, the universe is a happy place.
Yeah.
But I do have random days here and there where I like just don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
You know what I
No, I
mean?
think it's all, first of all, I think we've been going through one of the weirdest transitions in the industry ever. Like,
Absolutely.
and LA has been, I mean, it was the strikes and then it was the fires and
was
now
COVID.
it was
And then the
COVID, then
strikes,
the strikes, then
then
the
the
fires,
fires,
and now there's
AI.
this thing with ICE and then
Oh,
there's
ICE.
AI. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just been like one thing after another.
Yeah.
So I think it's been insane.
Yeah.
And like navigating and maneuvering all of these changes and figuring out like, how do you stay focused on who you are and what you're doing when it feels like every day something can change and everything is out of your control
100%.
is really, really hard.
It takes a very certain personality type to be able to do what we do. Depending what stage of your career you're at, like sometimes like maybe cash flow is like easier to predict, maybe it's not, but it's like it takes a lot to just keep trying, dealing with rejection and just like being like, it's fine, like on to the next, it's like, or try to like not being able to, I mean, most of us aren't on salaries in this industry.
Yeah.
So just like being able to be like, I'll figure it out is the scariest thing in the world.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
100%. There's two pieces to that because I think that there's financial load, which is insane.
Yeah.
Right? Like figuring out financially how you're doing, because some months you can be doing really well and other months you can not be doing well at all. And like to be able to track that, manage that, budget that's like its own piece.
I'm currently in one of those difficult months.
Yeah. No, but it is.
I hate it here.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's hard. It's really hard. And LA is also obviously very expensive. And then separate from that, there's like the mental load, right?
Yeah.
And the mental load is also like its own existential crisis.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, well, what am I doing next? And what does that mean? And where am I going? And like,
why am I not doing as good as this person?
and the social media aspect of the whole thing just
Yeah.
like elevates that feeling a lot.
The highs are highs, the lows are low.
Yeah.
The best advice that was given to me is don't let the highs get too high or the lows get too low. That was actually it, especially with the highs.
What does
because
that mean?
it means like everything with a grain of salt. Like,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
when I get cast in something or when I book something, and I don't know if this is me, I don't know if this is like a defense mechanism at this point, but it's like, I don't celebrate it anymore. I mean, I do and I don't,
Yeah.
but I'm not like, oh my God, I got the thing, because like you might have got the thing, you might have filmed the thing, but until I'm sitting in the, and I know it is on that screen, because
Yeah.
you might be on the
Get
cutting room
caught.
floor.
I know.
I have my celebrations, right? So it's like for that moment, I get that email and I see the headline, I'm like, and I'm like, awesome, cool, next. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I can't let it get too high, because that crash
Yeah.
is devastating.
Well, but the thing is, what's hard about that, so I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But then I also feel like what's hard about that is because there's so much rejection and there's so many no's
Yeah.
that it's almost like, because I tell myself, because I kind of have the same thing where sometimes I feel like I'm almost like, I'm so on the go with what I'm doing that I'm like, all right, well, until the money hits the bank.
Yeah.
All right, well, until the movie hits the theater.
Mhm.
All right, well, until the theater hits the, but then it's like, sometimes I feel like I look back and I'm like, no, I should have celebrated those more, because it's not every day that you get these moments.
Yeah.
And there's so much like non-response or like no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That
Mhm.
the little moments that are like, yes,
You're right.
you get to show up.
You're
and
right.
yes, you are in the theater.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yes, it did work. And yes, you did. And it's like, because there's always the next thing you have to worry about.
Absolutely.
Which is like, and so I'm trying really hard to work on myself to be like, just be more present in this little yummy moment.
Absolutely.
Whatever happens.
I actually take it back. I do agree. Because I have been celebrating. There are those moments where you do have to celebrate it. And I do
Yeah.
celebrate it. I think for me, what I mean to say is, don't let it get to your head
Yeah.
when it's high.
Yeah.
But then also, okay, so I'm very into reading about like mindfulness and meditation and consciousness and things like that, and like the law of attraction and what. And I really recently had an epiphany where I was like, okay, like if I'm expecting to be cut, or I'm expecting the money to not hit my account, like what am I saying by like preparing for the worst, right?
Yeah.
Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. I was like, stop expecting it.
Yeah.
Stop expecting the rejection. Stop expecting there to be a problem or for you not to make the cut. And I had that epiphany very recently, and I was like, oh, I think this is the jaded people talk about in LA, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like part of me is so accustomed to this that I'm like, well, I'm going to prepare myself in advance
Yeah.
so I don't get too hurt. By preparing myself in advance for a negative outcome, am I attracting the negative outcome?
I agree with that. And I think that that's one of the big things that I also work on. But it's very hard because obviously when when you've done this for long enough, you know that there's a version of everything that could not work.
Yeah.
There's a version of it. And so like our like little hearts that are just filled with like all the excitement of joy of something happening
Yeah.
is like constantly just like waiting for like, is there a version of my excitement getting crushed?
Yeah.
Because we've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you do it enough that and so you like build like a sort of tolerance to that
Yeah.
crush, but you also don't want to experience it. So you're like,
Yeah.
how do I protect myself?
Yes.
And then at the same time, I 100% agree with you. I think it's like by preparing yourself, you're almost like energetically putting yourself in this negative
Yep.
place where you're like, oh, bad thing can happen and I'm ready
100%.
for that.
Yeah.
Versus being like, no, a great fucking thing can happen and I'm
Yeah.
ready for that.
Yes.
You know, so how do
Like
we
with dating? That's like we were
Yeah.
saying, like, okay, well, maybe the guy's not going to be interested in me anymore, but like, am I putting that out there? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you think that way? Like,
Yeah, why would you think that way?
wouldn't
You're
wanna
just great.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he be
Yeah.
interested? And like if for
be interested.
I think energy, and that's one of the things too in the book that I really, really believe in is like mindset.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes so much mindset to stay in the game
It really
of
does.
being creative.
I love talking to creatives, especially successful creatives, because
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like sometimes people discount my mindset as toxic positivity, but I promise it is not toxic positivity.
Yeah.
There might be an element of like, okay, maybe being like overly optimistic and stuff, but I was like, but you have to understand, is the universe a friendly universe? I think it is. And I
Yeah.
think it's like showing up with like ready to understand. There will be failures, there will be deaths, these are just like facts of life, but understanding that like the more you show up to the plate with a smile on your face and anticipating that like your dreams can come true,
Yeah.
the more they will, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not being toxically positive to assume that things will work out, because like in some narratives they will. It just it depends on how you look at the story.
Well, I think also a lot of it has to do with, or at least in my experience, when you have a positive energy
Mhm.
around something and you start to move in that direction,
Yeah.
then you start to attract things as you're moving,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like there's so many things that I've been able to accomplish in my life that have come from me believing there's a version of me being able to do it. And so it's like even writing this book,
Yeah.
it's like I always knew I wanted to write a book.
Yeah.
But then there was a moment where it was like, this feels like the right moment
Yeah.
for me to actually do this. And I remember my husband at the time was like, we're about to have our movie come out in like 250
I thought you meant your
theaters.
husband at the time. I was like, what happened to Dan?
No. At that time, my still husband, I've only had one husband. Have you seen this trend, by the way? My current husband.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
That's great.
Anyway, but he was like, I think this is like the right moment to do it because we're about to launch this movie.
I thought that when I heard about this and the movie coming out at the same time, I was like, synchronicity. This is so smart of her to do it.
Yeah. Well, it was strategic.
Yeah.
But it was also like, but what was interesting about it was that by believing that I was capable of doing it, I feel like I moved a lot of things. Like a book usually takes a lot longer to write and put out in the world than how we did it, but we were able to do it by believing that it was possible to time it.
Yeah.
And then partnered with the right people and got the right publisher. Got to shout out my Mel Robbins quote, but got a little Mel Robbins quote for the front of my book.
I love that.
Which was a cold email. But again, it's like, what's interesting was that I was able to use the momentum of the other stuff to send that cold email to Mel Robbins' team.
Yep.
And so like, there were so many moving pieces that would have been impossible without the other piece.
Yeah.
And it all came from this like positive, like belief that it could all align.
And it rubs off too. Even seeing your book, I was like, man, I also have been wanting to write a book. So
yes.
It's
I love that.
It's inspired me. I was like, oh, maybe mine will be called Be the Car.
Yes. I love that.
Be the Ferrari.
Yes. I love that. That's so funny. Me and my husband talk about that a lot. We're like, if we're a Ferrari, should we be eating this? Like, if we're a Ferrari, should we be doing this? It's really funny.
Listen, I have treated myself like a Toyota Camry.
Well, same. I mean, that's why we're like, if we're gonna level up, then we gotta fucking like, what's in this gas? You know what I mean?
Yep. I need to be better.
So what would you say though, for people who are, because obviously what you do, it looks, by the way, very effortless. Like when I see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, I didn't know, because obviously, I've done stand-up as well. And I have a comedy special on Amazon called Two Moms on Mic. But I met Reem through stand-up. And I remember before I had ever done stand-up, I remember thinking, oh, people just show up, they get on a mic and they just kind of riff and they're just like incredibly funny.
Yeah.
Like these are just like the most talented people in the world.
Yeah.
Just get up, they grab a mic and they start chatting.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes.
Well, but the thing is, like when I watch you do it, I mean, and for myself, by the way, to get to my own comedy special took so much like training and doing so many open mics and doing so many adjustments and joke things, blah, blah. And I feel like you see someone like you and you just go like, oh, they just know how to be funny. They know what to say. They know how to stay current. They know how to like grab someone's attention from the crowd. What is the stuff you're working on behind the scenes that we don't see? And how do you keep yourself constantly in momentum and motivated as you're doing all of your stand?
It's funny that you mentioned like, it seems like I'm just like doing it, because I tell this to people a lot. I'm like, there are people who were born funny or like who are funny, and those people have to learn how to be funny. And not saying one is easier or better than the other. It's just like, it's a different skill set. And it's for better or for worse, because like I was a fat kid, so I had to grow a personality at a very young age. So that's why I'm funny. It's because I was like trying to not get people to make fun of me because I was in on the joke. And in fact, I was funnier than you. And that as a kid who didn't like, even into my teen years, like I wasn't like as conventionally attractive or
well, you're
fit.
very beautiful.
Thank you. Oh my God, I grew into it. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm funny and pretty. Oh my God.
You're like, this is the dream.
It's happening.
I love it for you.
Thank you. So it's like, it's been cool because, I can naturally figure out what to say and make you laugh.
Yeah.
But it's a blessing and a curse because it makes me a little bit lazier when it comes to writing new material and staying current, because I know no matter what, I'm not going to sink on stage. Like, of course, we all bomb from here to, from time to time. But it's like, that's been something I've had to get myself out of, is like, I get it. I'm funny. I get I can do a good job at these jokes, but I need to constantly be working at writing newer things as opposed to depending on my innate ability to like somehow strategically understand how to make a social dynamic funny.
I'm sure both are important.
Yeah.
But like to me, I feel like the kind of funny where you can just show up in a room, read the room, and make something funny out of what's happening in the room is like a huge skill.
It really is. And you know where it comes from? And I've really been thinking about this lately because like, you know, as an Arab woman, at least like when I was a kid, I felt like there was like this divide between like men and women, right? And like the culture is very like it's not, I'm not trying to like shit talk it in any way, but I'm just saying like I remember being a kid and seeing like, oh, the men go hang out in one room and like, you know, talk politics and stuff, and the women go hang out like in another room and like we mingle and stuff. But it was like I always would look at these like social scenarios and I was like, I wanted to be one of the guys so bad, and my way into it was like showing them that I could like fuck around and be funny. And and that's how I earned my stripes with them too. So for me, part of it came from being like, I want a seat at the table. Not that women didn't have that seat. It's not like there was like a weird division, but it's just kind of like I identified, I was like, I want to go talk politics with you guys. This is more fun than makeup. And then a part of that too, like I felt like a lot of this came from maybe like being around like different archetypes of men, whether in my culture or not, and feeling like I wasn't allowed to say certain types of things or have like too like edgy of an opinion or things like that, or talk back to people because they're older than me, right? Like in my culture, it's very much like what like an older man or woman says, it's like they're your elders, you have to respect them. And so a lot of my sense of humor comes from finding an intelligent way to say what I want, but like masked behind humor so that I too can fucking participate in this conversation and sit wherever I want to sit and say whatever I want to say, regardless of your age or your social status or your gender. Like a lot of this comes from me trying to game the system and like earn a spot at the table in any of these like, you know, scenarios, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. And I'm curious though, when you're having a moment where, because, and by the way, you're traveling all the time, you're doing stand-up all over the place. I feel like to even have a career in stand-up where like stand-up is paying for your life, you're getting paid to travel to do stand-up, like that's a really huge milestone. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's like
that
that's,
I forget.
No, but that's the kind of thing that I feel like that is the dream. That is the success that people are, and it's so hard to get there.
You're so right.
And I feel like I'm curious because I'm sure you have moments like this and I have moments like this too, where it doesn't feel that way and you're kind of like stuck in the in-betweens or like in a moment where you are not sure what the next thing is or and like how do you keep yourself motivated or how do you stay feeling like, okay, this is just a moment and I can come back from this by doing this, or like how do you help yourself?
That's a great question because like I said, I'm in a downturn right now, right? And it's not because
thanks for the vulnerability.
Yeah, honestly, because it's like I had such a powerful winter. Like I was like doing things and traveling and all. I was on this tour and I was on that. And then this like, you know, like content creation thing and this branded deal. And like the last couple months have been just dry. And it's like, you know, I'm kind of like having to have budgeted earlier in the year, or it's like, okay, I know I'm doing a tour in August, but that's like, what do I do with myself these few months, right? Like to a certain extent, like when are these, a lot of times it's like a lot of my brand deals are incoming. And so I'm like waiting. Had to switch like, you know, members of my like representation team and stuff too. So like when these things happen, it's like a perfect storm of like, all right, well now what? And so that's when it really gets just it's annoying, you know.
But what can you do? Because I agree with you, by the way, and I validate everything you're saying.
Yeah.
And I have these moments too. And it's funny because I think a lot of people come up to me and they're like, wow, you just like, you did it, you made it. Like, and it's like, no, that's actually not at all how I feel. Like, you know what I mean? I have so many moments where I'm like, what am I doing? What's the next thing? Where am I going? Like, who am I? Like, what is my work? Like,
where's the train going?
Where's the train going? Like, am I still a train if I've stopped at this? Like, I don't, you know what I mean?
What stop are we at?
And what stop are we at? Like, who am I? Is it Friday? No. But the point is though, like what do you do in those moments to like, do you focus on something else or do you focus back on your writing or how do you bring yourself back into being like, it's okay, this is a moment and this is how I'm going to get through this moment?
I mean, I know it's a moment. And I'm not going to pretend I have this all figured out because there are, you know, pockets here and there where I'm like crying to my sister and I'm like, this shit is so hard.
Yeah. It's really hard.
But I think, and this again is for better or for worse, I have so many things going at once. Like I used to work in marketing. I never really stopped. Like I haven't had a day job since like 2018. But
which by the way, Huge.
Thank you.
Huge
But right
success
now, I'm
right
like, should
there.
I get a job again? These last couple months,
By the way, fair.
yeah. And I used to think that was a failure. I was like,
Yeah.
I refused. I was like, I can't do that. I could never take a step back. Like what?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I mean, it would be nice to have extra money and do stand up.
Yeah.
Who cares? So, but I think like this entire time, like I've kept up my freelance projects. Like I still do freelance copywriting. I still like will help people with social media from time to time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I'm not doing an acting thing, I'm probably like doing a stand-up thing. If I'm not doing that, then I'm trying to write something. If I'm not doing that, then I'm like doing social media. So it's like I've kind of kept all of these plates spinning.
Yeah.
And I like that because it gives me something to pivot to, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've been thinking lately, like, am I like diluting my attention too much? Because it's like, should I just 100 million% focus on stand up and be the absolute best at stand up? Or should I be maintaining these other skill sets, you know, in case like the stand up opens the door to an acting thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, should I be focusing wholeheartedly on one thing and be the Kobe of that? Or should I take this industry for what it is and be like, I have to wear a lot of hats?
Well, I
I
think
got to direct, I got to
yeah.
do things, you know.
I feel, and obviously I don't think anyone has the answer,
Okay.
because things are changing so much and so much is out of our control. Having the capacity to work under multiple hats, I think is actually becoming a huge skill set.
Yeah.
And I think that as much as like I want to believe, and I remember when I first came here that it was so clear, everyone would go, you choose a lane and you stick to that lane. That was like the very clear piece of advice.
Yeah.
But when I think about my own trajectory in my own life, there is no version of me being able to build everything I've built had I stick to one lane.
Yeah.
Like there's just no version of it.
No.
Like everything I have done has been because I have grabbed from here and taken this and then done that and then done that and then done that.
Yeah.
And like I think that so much of where my focus is going now, and I don't know if it's gonna work, you know, we'll find out in 20 years. But like so much of where I'm putting my own focus and attention now is like, how do I build a brand? How do I build a brand around who I am and what I can contribute?
I love that.
Because I feel like, you know, and a lot of people will come to me right now and go, what's your next movie? And it's like, and it's so funny, that question, because it's our automatic question, right? But like
when you have more kids, it's
like, what are you gonna do it?
Chapter.
When are you gonna do it again?
Yeah.
When are you gonna do it more?
Yeah.
When are you gonna do, you know? And so, but it's funny because I just came off of, you know, our movie was, like I said, in 250 theaters nationwide on Valentine's Day. We had a 3-week run. We ran our own marketing campaign.
Yeah.
It was insane. I have never worked so hard in my entire life.
I can tell. I remember telling you, I was like, hey, just so you know, like from someone who came from film marketing, you guys are doing it right.
Thank you.
The whole campaign, I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it was literally me and Dan. Like we had like 3 people who we hired under us, but the entire campaign was us. So it was that we were sending thousands of emails, like to influencers, to brands, I mean, it was insane to get the poster, to get the billboards, to get the giveaways. We gave away trips to Mexico. We partnered with the tourism board of Nayarit. I mean, it was insane.
It was so it was so layered, complex.
It was so complex.
I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it was also like exhausting.
Yeah.
I lost like 27 pounds, which sounds cute, but it wasn't like cute. It was like stress. Like it was like I was like a full like smoker. Like it was like
stress.
Yeah.
I think it made me more stressed.
No, it was like it was not good. Like it wasn't like people are like,
good.
oh, I went on a diet and
great.
I ate well, and I'm like, I did not eat well. I had like 5 Red Bulls with like a pack of cigarettes a day.
No, you had a Ferrari lifestyle.
But anyway, long story short though, I feel like it's funny because it's almost like my body right now is like, oh my God, I can't even think about another movie right now. Like I feel like I need like 5 minutes because that was so intense.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like I have to be doing something. So what am I doing and where am I putting my time and my attention? And then I'm like, well, am I doing a podcast? Am I building on this book? Am I doing some merchandise? But I have the same question as you. I'm like, well, am I diverging my attention into too many places? But then I'm like, we're kind of like in a creator's economy.
Yeah.
I feel like now. I don't know. I think the more you can be creative in different ways.
Yeah.
And like when you say things about brand deals or when you say things about like the world is moving in that direction.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so the more you're putting time and attention into all of that, I feel like there's so many opportunities that do just pop up.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think like for me too, like I was going through this bout of trying to figure out what my brand was and trying to like put it into words. And then I think my manager was like, you are the brand.
Yeah, you are the brand.
That it's just you.
Yeah.
Like I've monetized my personality, and that's
Yeah.
what I need to remember moving forward. And it's so difficult sometimes in this industry because like maybe there's a diversity program, so maybe you feel like you have to like market yourself in this way,
Yeah.
and then you have to market yourself in this way. So it's like sometimes I get caught in the semantics of it all, and I'm like, okay, so I'm a this, this, and that, and I'm like, well, why am I defining this? I'm Reem. Reem is the brand.
Yeah.
And so I think like in my next iteration of jokes, I want to focus on Reem, not who I am, but like what I like, you know, like I've done the identity thing. If you've watched my stand up, I talk about being Arab American a lot, and not because I was writing for a thing. It just happened. I went through a period of my life in my like late 20s, early 30s where I was like, who the fuck am I? You know, like, and why does this matter to me? Why does being Arab American matter so much to me? I don't know. Like I wasn't this way growing up. It just, I keep trying to get away from it, and then it keeps happening again.
Yeah.
But now like I'm trying to figure out like, okay, in the same way that we're talking about different things that we're focusing on all make up ourselves. I'm like, how can I, in my next iteration, my next personal movie or comedy, you know, hour, like how can I explore all of those different facets that still ring true to just who I am and what I believe in?
I agree with that. And I think also that the more specific you are, the more you relate to more people.
Yeah.
Because actually specificity is what people relate to.
Which is weird.
Which is weird.
It's
You would
so
think
weird.
that you don't, but you do.
I know.
And it's interesting.
And the more general I try to go, the more hack it is. Like the more it becomes about, I don't know. But when I go specific, then it's like, then it somehow reaches more people.
It does, because it resonates, because the people who are also having that specific thing.
But it's tough for me because like, you know, I feel like I'm a minority within a minority within a minority within a minority. And like, I joked recently on a stage. I was trying to talk about this family trip we had back to Iraq. And I was like, talking about being Iraqi. And I just like looked at this like sea of like, just like general Americans. And I was like, guys, is this relatable? I was like, I don't know how to make being Iraqi American relatable to you guys. You know what I mean?
What did they say?
They laughed. They laughed the hardest at that one. It was almost like, are you guys relating?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to strike that balance. It's easy to kind of talk about like the more top of the funnel, like essay answer type questions, as opposed to just like talking about like the weird shit that happens in my life that happens to be from my perspective.
Yeah.
And then putting that filter on current events and things like that. I think that's what I'm trying to nuance in my next.
Well, and I think also like your culture is very similar to a lot of other cultures.
Yeah.
And so I think that like as much as like it might be specific to you,
Yeah.
a different culture or a different person who's having a similar experience goes, oh my God, I see myself completely in that, even though I have nothing to do with Iraq. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I hope so.
I have another question for you. So is there any moment in your life where you feel like you have like created an opportunity for yourself or like greenlit yourself in some way?
Yeah, of course. But there's something that came to mind that happened yesterday. So this is like not necessarily like answering your question, but it's just such a funny thing. And I think it really speaks to this idea of like thinking about something, having it be in your subconscious, thinking about it, expecting it, having it happen, and then seeing how you can parlay that into other arenas in your life. But again, unrelated. But like lately, I've been having dreams about finding money. Okay. Just finding money on the floor. And then
I would like that dream, please.
Yes. It's been a recurring dream. And I've journaled about it. And then like a couple of days ago, I had a dream about finding like wet money. And like I was like, interesting. And then yesterday, I went to this like music festival and I was walking and I looked down and I found $100 bill.
Wow.
And I go, my God.
That's like a big bill.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, you guys. I just dreamt about this and I found 100 and I looked down again. I was like, oh my God, I found $200 bills. And then I was like, this is insane. And I was like screaming. And then I looked and they were counterfeit. And I was like, oh, like they were like leaking. They were wet. So I was like, maybe that's the wet money I dreamt of. Then as I was leaving the festival, some girl was like, she like offered me $100 and I was like to buy my wristband. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like so I did end up getting the money. So I was just like, how can I parlay this into other areas of my life? Because it tends to happen when I expect things.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, do we expect negative results? In which case, are we creating negative results? I'm trying to take that energy with me into other areas of my life that I'm like trying to greenlight myself. But like, has there been, what was the question? Have I greenlit?
Have you created an opportunity? Well, you just created money for yourself. So good job.
Thank you.
But yes, the question is, have you created an opportunity for yourself or greenlit yourself in any way? Like at any point in your career where you're like, someone wasn't giving me X, Y, or Z. So I just decided to do it myself.
I mean, stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, stand up and social media, I will say. Like,
yeah.
Stand up, like I said, I went to that open mic and I was like, this is amazing. Because
Did you do well at that open mic?
I did so good.
Oh, I fucking bombed my first open
Oh
mic
my God.
so hard.
No.
So hard. It was like, and I've always thought I'm funny.
Yeah,
Like that's
you are
what
funny.
Thank you. I feel like I'm funny
Yeah.
and like do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it was like, but I also got an open mic that was like, it seemed like, this sounds mean, but that was just the open mic I was in.
Yeah.
Seemed like a lot of men who maybe had murdered their mothers. Like it was like that, you know what I mean?
I know exactly.
And so it was like, and my jokes were all like
About moms.
about moms. And I was like, ooh, it is dicey in here. But I remember I was like, but that's awesome.
I remember, well, I know I did well because I remember in my first set, I was like, which was filmed, I was like, guys, this is my first time doing stand up. And then I got off the stage and a couple of people who I'm still friends with today came up to me and they're like, is that a thing you say? Like, oh, this is my first time doing stand up. And I was like,
wow.
no, I was like, this is my first time. And
Oh
they're like,
my God. Love that for
"You need to do
you.
stand up.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, one of them referred me to a stand up class. So I did end up taking a class just to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. But yeah, that was I think that was an example of me being like, okay, fine. I had said I was going to do an open mic since college. I've been saying it for years.
Yeah.
But it took kind of like the mental, like, the spirituality work, the meditation, the like deciding to go to an open mic, giving myself a deadline. Cause like I said, I've been saying I was going to do it forever.
Yeah.
And then when I finally made the decision to try to go to an open mic, I gave myself the deadline by the third week of February, 2016. And I waited till the last day of the third week of February to the last mic in Los Angeles. And it was like downtown LA, super sketch. It was like 10 p.m. And I was like, I have to go. If I don't make this deadline, it's never going to happen. And I made the deadline. So that's part of me like setting it in motion and creating the opportunity. But I feel like part of the reason I was so, I love this. I feel like part of the reason I was so sad in my previous career was because like I always knew I wanted to be on what I thought was like the development side of things or the production side of things, and I was so stuck in marketing.
Yeah.
Like I remember saying I was gonna get my foot in the door with marketing and then I'll like network and I'll make friends in production and I applied my ass off. I networked my ass off. I was going to like PGA events. I knew so many people, but like nobody would give me the time of day, even as an assistant, to go from a marketing assistant to a production assistant. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so like it was like I felt like I was like banging my head on a wall over and over again trying to get into the development or production side of things. And like, I remember at my final day job, I would like talk to the department heads and like ask, I was like, can you put me on a movie? Can you do, I was doing everything. And finally when it wasn't happening, that's when I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to do something else and I'm going to do it on my own. And stand up is my favorite art form because you can lay the foundation for your career brick by brick and there are no gatekeepers.
Yeah.
If you are funny and you set up and you have an audience, then go do your thing.
Well, and that's the thing. But by the way, and you have your audience.
Yeah.
Which I think you've been really good at doing.
I've been building it.
Because you have to build it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I just posted this today, but I have 20,000 followers now.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
It's huge.
But it's so funny because it sounds like nothing because the world is crazy. So like I literally it sounds like nothing.
I feel
but
like I have
I
nothing.
worked so hard to get there and I
Yeah.
had invest so much time into it. And I have such a love-hate relationship with social media.
Yeah.
And it's just like so crazy to me that I can look at that number and it sounds so small, but it's so enormous in the amount of work that it took to get there.
Think about a room right now of 200 people who love you.
Yeah. And then think about 20,000.
Think about 20,000 people in that room who know your name.
Yeah.
Maybe let's say 1,000 of them kind of like followed you like here or there.
Yeah.
19,000 people
That's crazy.
know who you are.
Yeah.
Like I keep going through this because it was like, I remember I was in an acting class once and like Nikki Glazer was in my class. It was like
wow.
So, and it's so interesting to me because I remember saying out loud, I was like, if I could just hit that 10,000,
Yeah.
I just want 10,000 so I can do a link, a
Yeah.
swipe up link. That's all I want with my life. And I remember also seeing Nikki in that class and I remember she was talking, this was before she hit it big, and she was talking about her frustrations with like getting cast in pilots and like things like that. She's such a funny comedian.
She's really funny.
She's great. And now look at her.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I like to think about that a lot. I really like to think back to like that moment and like, wow, if only she knew where she was going.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And also that like every overnight success was actually like 30 years in the running. Yeah.
Try explaining that to your immigrant dad. I
Yeah.
understand it. My dad one time, he was like, why is Ali Wong? She is performing at theaters. And you are performing at the back of Chinese restaurants. I was like, she started here.
First of all, she's older than me, Dad.
I was like,
Second of all, yeah.
He's like, you're performing at bars and restaurants. I was like, she had to perform at bars and restaurants to get to where she is now. She didn't just start at theater. But yeah, I would say like stand up is like one of the situations where I like no one was giving me the arena. So I just like built it
Created,
myself.
and you created your own audience, which I think is amazing. What would your 13-year-old self define as success? And how would you define success now? Has it changed?
13-year-old Reem would define success as 120 pounds.
Okay.
Just-
Well, a little psychotic, 13-year-old
yeah.
Reem. No, I'm joking.
if you're skinny, they will come.
Oh, God.
Wow, that's a really good question. Because, I've always been asked, like, what advice would you give, or like, what would you say to herself? But like, what would she define as success? I think like, God, doing what I'm doing now to her.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God, I'm like getting emotional. Like, truly, like, this
Yeah.
has been the success for her.
Yeah.
Like, living in LA.
Yeah.
Like, going to premieres would have been her success.
Yeah.
Like, that was it for her. Being in a commercial.
Yeah.
Like, being on a stage, having fans.
Yeah.
Everything that I'm doing right now is what I thought success was.
Yeah.
And I'm so mean to myself right now. I'm like, you're not successful yet.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked that question is because I had this realization the other day
Wow.
where I was like, my 13-year-old self, the stuff that I have been able to accomplish,
Wow.
she would be blown away by.
Oh my
She
God.
wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah.
She wouldn't even believe that I got the chance, that my face is on the poster of a movie that went to 250 theaters,
That's so great. It's on airplanes.
that it's on airplanes,
stars.
that it's on
I
stars,
read
that,
emails.
yeah, thank you. But like, I mean, no, really. And like that I like wrote a book, and that I was in Cannes, and that I was on the red carpet, and that I walked it, and that the photographers took my photo, that people hated on my body on a picture that was
Wait,
on
what?
the red carpet. Yeah, but it's fine
Yeah, that's
because
a
it
marker of
means
success, you
yes, it was a marker of success.
I can't
They were
believe
like,
you hated on too.
yes, they were like it was something about me being flat chested, but it was just like so cool because it was such a good photo, and I like know.
You look amazing. The
Thank you.
outfit
Thank you. It was the best photo that has ever been taken of me ever.
Gorgeous.
Ever. So it was like when I had random strangers saying mean things, it was actually like a beautiful moment
It's
in
a
my
marker
life.
of success.
Because I was like, oh my God, like enough people care to say something mean in a photo I know
Yeah.
is like by far my best photo,
Yeah.
no matter what. And so it was like, this feels good in like a weird way.
We made it.
Yeah.
We made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is like, I also get emotional because I'm like, I'm so hard on myself too.
Oh my God.
And I feel so not worthy and not there. And like, I haven't done all the things in the
I feel this constantly.
yeah, constantly.
I have more followers than I thought I would have. And I still compare myself. I'm like, I don't have 1 million. Crazy. Like, I don't have 1 million. And like, I'm embarrassed. And all the other, them, they have like 500,000. I only have like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
yeah,
But
it's crazy. But so how do we, so let me ask you this. How do we get more present with where we are, and how does that like drive us to do better things?
Yeah.
How do we like get into a
remind
different,
ourselves.
yeah, and get into a different mindset?
We could do it with charm necklaces and cardigans. I will say these do remind me. Like, I even have like a little
Oh.
bike right here where I'm like, okay, like each of these means
Oh,
something.
Yeah.
So maybe it's
you need to get yourself one of these.
maybe I will.
Yeah, you should.
Maybe I should.
And we have a mic.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I
look at
kind of
that.
like.
And look at this. We have a clapper too.
Use code Reem for $5.99.
I actually am gonna give you a code, Reem. No,
Oh.
we'll talk about that
Maybe I'll
later.
have to influence your cardigan. Maybe I'll show it to my fan base.
That'll be the next brand deal.
Okay, great.
You just manifested it.
I'm down for that.
But
But I don't know, because it's like sometimes you need physical reminders.
yeah.
Sometimes you need emotional reminders. It's I don't know if there's a way to do it, but I think for me personally, as much as I said, don't let the highs get too high, the lows get too low. I think you need to just take inventory. And for me, actually, this is palpable advice is journal, because
Yeah.
I've been having so much personal success with my morning pages, which is something I learned from The Artist's Way.
Yes, my husband does it and he loves
I
it.
love it. Although I've
Yeah.
never really finished The Artist's Way. I've made it to week 9. It's too fucking
No one
hard.
finishes the artist way. It's true.
I can't. I was like, maybe if I announce it to my social media, I won't. I
Yeah.
fell off again. But the morning pages I've kept,
Yeah.
and it's really helped me take inventory of my life and then like remember the good things and be like, you're great. Like, honestly, I've been really nice to myself in my morning pages. Like at the end, I'm like, you got this, things like that. And so I think like that's helpful because we don't have a lot of opportunities to engage in like dialogue with ourselves or discourse with ourselves. And when you do, you start to like, talk to your inner child. You start to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
You start to have these conversations you would have with a manager, but with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's very spiritual. So I think that is a really good way. Figure out how it is you feel, put it on paper, just word vomit, and eventually things will come up. It's how I've worked through so many things in my life without intentionally setting out to work through them.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy. So
I need to do more of that.
really just do it. Make it a habit.
I know.
The more you can habituate something and make it less of a decision to do it, the
Yeah.
easier it is.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, that's something that's been on my list for a while, but it's just like, it's funny because I say I have a hard time finding time, but the reality is everything is priorities. You can find time for whatever you want to find time for.
100%.
So I just have to find the time
Someone
to
said
do
that to
my
me
morning
once.
pages.
I was complaining about like not having time to work out like he did. He's like, just sleep less.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
Well, by the way, lately, so this is like, I'm like in my superhuman phase
Yes,
of life.
your era.
This is my superhuman era.
Yeah.
But I have lately been waking up at like 6:30 in the morning,
Okay.
going to a burn class
Oh,
that starts at 7 a.m. I'm done by 7:45.
love it.
And then I go and take my kid to school.
Nice.
Then I come back and I get to work. And by
Super
like,
era.
yeah. And like by like 1 o'clock, I'm like, am I human? Like,
So
I
accomplished.
feel like so accomplished. It's crazy.
When I go to the gym,
And I never done that before. Never. I'd always just been like one of those people that's like, I just need more sleep.
you know, yeah, I will say it's like I do think I'm better creatively if I have a good amount of sleep
Yeah.
or if I'm cracked out with no sleep. Those two, it's like I'm either rested and like I can create,
Yeah.
or like have been traveling and have a show and didn't sleep on the plane and this, and I show up like a little weird,
Yeah.
and that's when I'm just like hilarious.
You're like, oh, this is funny.
Yeah. But I will say, yeah, I go through bouts where it's like, okay, wake up at 6, go to the gym, and then suddenly it's like everything works out.
Well, thank you so much. Do you have any advice you would give to any stand-up comedians that are trying
Yeah.
to make their way?
My advice would be to come to my shows on tour in August
Yes.
and September of 2025. Just kidding. I have two
Keeping
pieces of
yourself going.
advice.
Yeah, go for it.
One is give yourself permission to believe that your dream is worth having. Like
Yeah.
that was the hardest part of this entire career. Is like I didn't admit it. Admitting your dream is the hardest part. Just like give yourself permission to admit your dream. I remember I was so terrified of people. This is why I never did social media videos. I was terrified that I thought I was funny and people weren't going to think I was funny and I was going to eat shit in front of everybody and they were going to laugh at me and they're going to be like, look at her. She thinks she can be a YouTuber
Yeah.
or she thinks she can do videos and she sucks. And so I never admitted it. And so when I finally admitted the things I wanted to do, that released it all. So
Yeah.
just give yourself permission to dream, to admit that you want to do something.
Yeah.
That's number one. And the second piece of advice, no matter what you're in, is set a deadline.
Yes.
That's it.
That's in my book.
I saw it. Set a deadline. Because
Yes.
if I didn't set that deadline, then I would have still been hoping and dreaming to one day do comedy.
Oh.
That's what I do. If I don't have a deadline, I never do it.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
yeah. set
Well,
the-
thank you so much.
Yes.
This was so fun.
Thank you for having
And
me.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us on our Be the Train podcast. That's my dog losing his shit. But no, this was really amazing. And if you can tell everybody where to follow you on socials,
Yeah.
and where they can find your shows, I'm sure on socials.
Yeah. Everything's at Reem Edan, REEMEDAN, Instagram, TikTok, all the social.
Amazing.
And come to a show in August or September. I'm on tour.
Yes, and also all of her videos are really funny too.
Ah,
So
thanks.
yeah,
Thanks for having me.
thank you. Be the Train.